There's a burning segment tonight, as mentioned in the Talking Points memo. The New York Times is not editorialized about the Jordanian pilot being burned to death by ISIS. Rather, the lead editorial today is about American atrocities at the Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq 12 years ago. Joining us now from Miami, the purveyor, BernardGoldberg.com, and Mr. Goldberg. Before we get to Abu Ghraib, what do you think about the Williams situation?
Well, let me answer it slightly differently than the last segment. You know that segment that you do on this show, Did You Know That, where you bring people in who are now on Fox and you find out
we have that coming up right after you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you find out that somebody was a flight attendant or somebody was a stand-up comedian. Let's just imagine, and stay with me on this, let's just imagine I was on that segment and I said, well, before I became an analyst, a news analyst at Fox, I played center field for the New York Yankees. I hit 536 lifetime home runs, and just like Mickey Mantle, interestingly, and I played in 12 World Series. Well, I would either be delusional, which is a mental illness, or I would be lying. I think those are the two options that apply to Brian Williams. I don't think he's mentally ill, so I don't think he's delusional. But if he lied, and I suspect he did, it's not the usual lie. It's not the run-of-the-mill lie. It's what you alluded to in the last segment. It's a special kind of lie. I'll call it the celebrity lie. Celebrities go on television every night of the week, usually on the late-night shows, and they lie. They say such and such happened to them. It never did. They make it up. And the reason they make it up is because they have to be entertaining.
Right.
And they know that the truth isn't always all that interesting.
Right.
The problem is, and we don't care because there's some ditzy celebrity making up some ditzy story. Who cares? But when a newsman who's also a celebrity cannot do that, because when he does, you have to wonder what else he's making up. But I will say this, in conclusion, I will say this, and I totally agree with you, this will come to nothing. In a throwaway culture that we live in, nothing is newsworthy for more than a day or two. When the Russians or their surrogates shot down a civilian airliner, do you know how terrifying that is? It was out of the news in a couple of days. This will be gone in the blink of an eye.
And you don't expect NBC to do anything, right?
No, as a matter of fact, I expect them to passionately do nothing. If they issue a statement, it'll be Brian Williams addressed this next. No, I expect nothing.
All right. Gutfeld McGurk wanted
what do you
to do.
Think? You agree?
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I think I don't know. Gutfeld McGurk wanted to address it tomorrow. I'm not going to do it. And it's a one-day story for me. I don't want to pile on the man. All right? I think he's punished to the degree of his exaggeration. So that's just the way I feel about it.
Okay.
All right. Far more importantly, the coverage on television, the national media, of the Jordanian pilot being burned to death, I thought was pretty responsible this time around.
Yes, it was.
So all the networks devoted the time to it. They didn't ignore it. Even MSNBC,
right.
The left-wing crazy network, they had it into context, didn't take cheap shots or blame President Bush for it, the usual stuff they do.
That's right. Some stories are so big, you can't really.
You can't, right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But the New York Times, that editorial today was no accident. The Abu Ghraib thing.
The New York Times ran an editorial today that calls for accountability for the civilian contractors who were involved at Abu Ghraib. There's a hearing in federal court tomorrow about whether they can be sued, so it's a legitimate editorial. It comes the day before a hearing tomorrow morning. Legitimate. I have no problem in that sense with the editorial. But you made an interesting and important point in your talking points today, and that is that liberals in general, they really don't feel too comfortable attacking even something as clearly vicious as the things ISIS does. So they run an editorial about something that happened at Abu Ghraib, but we went back and checked every editorial that the New York Times ran in this calendar year, from January 1st until today. And there have been no editorials, none at all, about ISIS atrocities.
Right.
But there was one about American atrocities.
Right.
I don't have a problem with running the editorial about American atrocities. I would just feel better if the gods who write editorials at the New York Times showed the same outrage, actually they should show more outrage.
Of course they should.
For what ISIS does on a daily basis versus what Americans did on a very rare occasion.
Perhaps they will now, based on the Amnesty International report. That's a group the New York Times loves, about the raping and enslaving of 10 to 12-year-old girls in Iraq. Maybe they'll do something. Maybe we should save those girls, Bernie, you know? Maybe we should try to save those girls.
I not only hope they do an editorial, but to not do it would be a dereliction of their duty as editorial writers.
All right, Bernie Goldberg, everybody, when we come right back, did you know that a Fox News person was once a very powerful first lady of a major American city?